Red Pack 77 or Red Master, however you want to, say it. But all right, so I'm back in here, Cards and Castles. Some stuff has happened, of course, over the recent days. Patch 3.2. I'm trying to pull it up now on the side here so I can discuss some of the changes. But it really hit hard, I think, in my opinion. As you know, for some of the older players, our shards have come back to us. For newer players, you now have a shard system. Not really much to say there. The shards really are a better way, in my opinion, of separating crafting, like solely crafting, from actually buying packs. I mean, having one currency is okay. There's a universal way to get it. But now, card points are solely appearing in quests, and we don't know how it's going to affect the tournament, of course. And of course, card changes. Let's see. You're all given 800, of course, to start out with a free legendary, yada yada yada. But we have to talk about some of these changes. I mean, we have to at this point. There's no denying that they've all been affected, or everything has been affected, really. So let's start off with the first one, the Shadow Drake change. This, I feel like this alone was targeted more towards all of the units that could get 4 movement. I'm looking now, Shadow Drake, Master Thief, Reckless Knight, Horseman, Demon Hunter. They're all targeted for 4 movement units, and this is one of them. There's no real stat change except for the movement, which is a clear indication that, now the Drakes aren't getting an early push. You're not going to get that early attack out of the Drake anymore. You really got to use him well. Alright, moving on. Ice Drake was next. Ice Drake, HP reduced to 2. Okay, it reduces its effectiveness, in my opinion, of early game, but I mean, the Drake, he wasn't all that much to begin with. I mean, he's still a good unit, especially for early game. You have 3 attack, you have the now 2 health. I think it makes it a more balanced early game. Moving on, Salahar Rider. As you can see, his stats are reduced to 3. I like this. Salahar was a decent looking presence on the field early on. That 5 health really made him a go-to for early game, putting him in the decks, and that 4 movement really charging at him. Let's see here. The 4 movement is still okay. Now that you've reduced his health, I think it's a bit more fair. It was like Shadow Drake now. Essentially, you're running up, smashing for 2, and expecting to die the next turn. Alright. Wood War. This card got hit hard. This card used to have a whole different ability. Its stats were... everything about this card has changed. Originally, it was a Awaken... I mean, it's still an Awaken unit, but you would gain 3 attack and 2 movement at 2 movement, so you're essentially gaining like a large, like a 4/7, 3/7 unit. No, 3/7. I forgot the exact stats on him, but my point is that this guy used to be great with the Awaken synergy. Like, he had that, and it was upsetting to people to see this guy burst out in the field. Like, okay, I know I'm facing Awaken now. What else can I really do? Alright, but besides that, 3/6, it's now the 4 movement after gaining 3 in the next turn. I think, and giving it the movement for 1 turn really makes him you have to strategically use him at this point. You're getting 4 for 1 turn. I think if you waste that, it's going to cost you, since he can only move around, 1 space. I really think they did a good job cleaning up Wood War a bit. Alright, Berserker, his health knocked down to 5. Of course, that was the it came from, I think, in my opinion, the debate between the Guardian and Berserker. How Berserker at the time was the better choice because they would have nearly the exact same stats, except for Berserker had the extra knockback. So having that knockback pushes some of the big dudes off your base. And speaking of Guardian, he also got changed. 6 health. Nothing really much to say there. Just again to diverse the debate between Guardian and Berserker, I think. Just a bit there. Alright, moving on to Master Thief. He was changed. I don't know what his original stats were, but he's now at 4/4 with the gain 1 gold for a turn. I think that's okay. Having the 1 extra gold is fine, especially in greed decks now. That's powerful. But as you can see, the 3 movement I think is good because I remember he would sometimes come out and just smack a unit that wasn't really. I don't think that was a good design for him. Having him at 3 movement is where he should be at, and 4/4 still makes him a decent unit for 3 gold. Moving on to Reckless Knight. Reckless Knight. Reckless Knight, 2/5, 3 movement. He now doesn't have 4, but he has charge. Reckless Knight, I think, is still a good unit to have the charge ability. But, I forgot what I was going to say. I don't know what I was going to say. Yeah, I'm just going to shrink my face cam a bit. I think it might be too large on your screen, guys. But anyway, where was I? The Reckless Knight, 2/5 charge. He's still a good smacking unit. He's got the 2/5, but recently I've been seeing problems with him and with synergy with Luminaris right here. This, as you know, is probably the only AoE card that wasn't hit by a nerf, mostly because of his Knight status. Like, the card itself only works with Knights. But now that Knights are climbing in meta, as you can see, matches with Crusader Warlock, you see Knights come out, you see this guy, you see Genevieve, you see, of course, the Reckless Knight, and of course you see Luminaris. So having the charge on him really created that new, let me run up to you and just bounce a Luminaris, and for 4 damage off the Luminaris, that really takes a toll on whatever's there in your area, like buildings, whatnot, weaker units. But, yeah. Moving on to Dancing Swords. Where are you? 4 gold. I'm in the 3 gold. I need to find the 4 gold. Here you are, 4 gold. Putting him at 3/4, I think, limits the ability of the Woten. I think Dancing Swords is mainly a Woten using combo. That with the Sentry Golem, you would gain attack, then you would just run up and smack the base. His 4 movement, I think, is still fine, but you have a now 4/4 unit after your Awaken, which still can trigger a Woten buff, but not as tremendously detrimental as a 5/4. What's next? Fire Drake. This one got hit on. Same stats and everything. I still think it. Well, now I could say that this is interesting. The chain fire has been reduced from 2 to 1, which in my opinion really makes it so you have to have a Temple of the 5 Gods to really use this card effectively to wipe out swarms, or whatever you want to say it. His chain 2 really came in handy for getting rid of cards easily, like maybe Sea Witch, the skeletons, before you would get all of the armory buffs and whatnot. I think maybe reducing his chain fire was a bit much. I don't think they really should have touched this card. Of course, you could argue that maybe the 2 is a bit not overpowered, but a bit stronger. Because when it hit a unit, it would actually find its way back and hit your base, and that would kind of limit you in terms of sudden death. But other than that, I think Fire Drake was fine as is, but you know. Headless Horseman, get over here. Let me see. His stats changed to 3-4. Yeah, I think this was another one of the cards that needed to be hit with just an attack nerf. Because of the fact that it's 4 movement, and you really didn't want to see like a 4-4 coming in and smacking you in the face. It's kind of like the opposite of what they did for Headless Horseman. Master Thief. Instead of upping the attack and lowering the movement, they lowered the attack and upped the movement. Which kind of gives you both ends of the spectrum here. Horseman, I think, is still used in that way to just hit your opponent, either whether for 3 damage or to kill it. But I think this was a pretty good change to Headless Horseman. Alright, moving on. Demon Hunter. This card got hit, and I don't know whether it's for the better or for the worse, if people are still complaining about this card or not, but we have here the Demon Hunter. The Demon Hunter currently, I would say, now it's at a good position. I think its initiative to gain +2 attack is still effective. You still have a 5 attack, but now you have a 4 health. So it's sort of easier to take down, and you don't have this big unit lurking on your base. Some can argue that maybe Demon Hunter was supposed to do that, and the health nerf really defeats its purpose, but, you know, I think this change to Demon Hunter is pretty good, and it should stop a lot of people complaining about this card's usage. Alright, moving on to, let me just bring back up the list. Alright, Minotaur. Minotaur, not really much to say about this nerf, seeing as how Minotaur hasn't been utilized all that much, except for in monster decks, where you pull him from Atari's files, or a Jira play. But, Minotaur, I think, the 5 attack buff, nerf, not buff, the nerf was pretty good. This goes back again to the argument where you have a guy played automatically running up and just smacking your guy for 6 damage originally. I think the lowering of the attack really I mean, this guy can still be used in the same way, you can argue. It's just smacking 1 less damage. Yeah, but I think it's pretty safe to say that the 5 attack is better for us. Alright, moving on. We're going back to the other end of the spectrum, to the lower units, to go talk about Darkbender. Now, Darkbender, again, a card that really hasn't been used much in decks, but pulled from cards like Call of War and RNG and all stuff like that. But, let's see, I mean, not much to say here. 2-1, you got your stats changed, still doing the same damage. Easier to kill, say with a Chaotic Storm now, but, yeah. Not big to talk about the changes there. Peasant Militia is up next. Peasant. Right here. As you can see, the health has been reduced to 1. I think this was a smart choice. You're putting him on the same page as the Rat, and not as huge for an early game hit. You could still probably get him off the base with the cards at your disposal, but having that reduced health helps him to just shoo off the base. Alright, Smithy, he got a decent change. 4 gold. I think that was a good move, especially in the Swarm decks. He would pop out and reinforce everyone, followed by an Armory. I think that's pretty limited now. 1-3. Stats are okay now. It gives him somewhat of a little bit more, in my opinion, of fighting potential. I mean, 3-2. That was his originally at 2-2 on the card, but of course, gaining 1 attack will put him at 3-2. I think that was an intention to keep him at a 2-2, but you know, yeah, he still has the same ability. He still helps in the same places. I think it just takes longer to get him out, and he has a bit more fighting potential. All right, next, Will of the Dragon. Cost increased to 3 gold, I think, to make it so that he competes with other removal at his tier. I think back at 2 gold, he was probably the best removal to choose, and it still probably is, in my opinion. You get cards like King Kaiju, King Crab, you get them away from you quickly and not having to deal with, especially this new Ragnar. You know, everyone's been playing Ragnar at this point. They're greed, OP, and, you know, popping a Ragnar with about 10 or 16 attack and 15 health, and you didn't want to see it on your base, so you just pop the Will of Dragon, get rid of it, and focus on all the smaller support units. Alright, Ninja Training. Cost increase to 2 gold. Good choice on them. I think where it was, Ninja Training was an automatic increase, automatic put into all decks. Having him at 2G really does help him where he is. I mean, not really much to say about this card. But, you know. Alright, moving on to... Yeah, heal. Cost reduced to 2 gold. Not much to say about there. Sorry, just putting in a message for all the Discord people. A heal at 2 gold, it's fine, especially since you're not getting the extra draw anymore. Still 4 gold. I don't know what, if you want to say anything big about that, but, yeah. Moving on to Special Delivery. Special Delivery. Find it. Okay, this card, or the nerf, I should say, of being reduced to, unknown caller, I don't even know. I'm sorry, where was I? Focus, deal 2 damage. Yeah, the 2 damage really takes it off the grid as a possible... I mean, it doesn't remove its value at all from its use. I mean, I still use it to... I still use the card myself to do 2 damage. I think 3 was better, though, and really did some damage. But its use probably what caused the nerf. And as you can see, Luminaris is still probably a better choice. Eternity Strike. If I can find it. Alright, increasing this to 5 gold, I think, was a good decision on their part. Having it at where it was, I think people just didn't want to play it at the time. But now, it's, in my opinion, better. You have 3 damage, of course you need the focus requirement, but now you connect to all enemies as well. I'm seeing it more often at its 5 gold cost, which is fine by me, because, you know, I don't use ninjas. But, to support everyone who does use ninjas, I think this is a good change for you guys. Really hope that you utilize the Eternity Strike. Alright, now we're going to go talk about the most interesting card on the list, the one that's mostly been talked about by everyone else, and you guys are probably going to agree or disagree on this, but, you know, King Crab. Now, a lot of people were upset with the changes to King Crab. I think it should be where it is now. I agree with the change. I agree with what they're thinking on this one. His potential at a 7/7 was a bit too high, especially for a 4 gold. I mean, maybe having the same stats and increasing it to 5 gold, I understand. But at 4 gold, and if you're not going to change the gold, you should keep it at this. It has smacking potential. you can hit some of the bigger guys off you, but still you need to keep that health low. And the reason why you need to keep the health low is so that you don't abuse the crab. You know, turn 2, you bring out King Crab, and your opponent can do virtually nothing with what they have in their hand. Takes 3 shots, and the base goes down. I think this was a pretty good change. Now, this card originally was reduced to 6/7 in the original patch, but then we had a recent hotfix right after, which I'll talk about after I'm done with patch 3.2. There's, I think, one card in the hotfix alone that we still need to talk about, and it's not on this 3.2 list, but King Crab, I think, should be where he's at now. Temple of the Five Gods. The Temple. Now he's up there. Or now it's up there. 5 gold, 4 HP. You have a buff in the health, but a cost increase in the gold. This card, you can still get your money's worth out of, in my opinion. If you run greed decks, if you have extra gold, you may want to put this down. I run Temple in my greed deck just for the sole purpose of removing swarms and whatnot. It's pretty useful in my opinion. I still use it. And for people who say it's unusable now, I highly disagree with them. Temple is still Temple. I mean, you're popping down that chain lightning, and you could really do some damage either to the base, the buildings, or enemy units. I get it. I get that you need to increase the gold because if it's 3 gold and it's really easy to bring out. So, yeah, I kind of support this change. Alright, Shodan. Shodan, or Zen Master. Rebalanced as a 7 gold unit entirely. Good choice on them. I think I'm thinking to myself what I should talk about with him. He was a good change to repurpose as a 7 gold unit. He was being somewhat of, like, I don't want to say abused, but kind of overused in Awakened deck, especially since he is at 4 gold. It's either a choice between him or Headwood on turn 4. You pop a Saurus on turn 5, and you can really do damage depending on what's out on the field for the opponent. Repurposing as a 7 gold is fine. He's now got 5/9. That's perfectly fine. I think maybe we should just leave him where he is. And as the weeks go on, we should see how he progresses as a card in general. If he's more used or decreased in use. Alright, speaking of Awaken, let's go back to Headwood. Now, Headwood was also one of the cards being abused in Awakened decks. The 2 damage to enemies, to all enemies, was ridiculous on its own, and that's basically the essential cost of what is now a better special delivery, or Dagger Storm. And the Saurus play would be about 4 damage to everything, and at some point that would even cost you game at that. Sometimes I've seen games absolutely ruined by Headwood, but now making it the 11/3 area works. You have to position Headwood, you have to know where to have him if you really want to do some damage. Keeps him out of the corner, and possibly even puts him in a position where you could stop him before the Awaken, but that may be highly unlikely. That's fine though. Alright. Banner of Justice. Not really much to say about this card. Again, it was kind of being somewhat used a bit too often. We actually found this card was only supposed to affect knights. Its original ability was incorrect, which is good. I think catching it now definitely helped it. It stopped before it spread. You know, with rats and Woten, that was another extra card you go ahead in, and boom, there's some Woten destruction right there. Putting it to knights now really limits its. Putting it to knights now limits that, and I think puts more focus towards the knights as a deck. Damn, I'm losing my voice. I'm gonna keep going. There's not much changes left to discuss, I think. I don't know how much in detail I'll go with the rest of these changes from here on out. They're really kind of just simple nerfs, either to attack or to health or something like that. Starting with Frozen Storm, you now target only enemies, which I think was good. It destroyed the potential for you to move your guys up without moving them. So you're getting an extra move out of them from that. Now you just get rid of the enemies like its intention was supposed to do, freeze them, and get some time to build up your own forces. Southport Captain now only gains 2 golds. That's fine. Giving him gaining the 3 gold ability would have him abuse his greed power. He's still in there with the greed because of his gaining gold, but I think he's been somewhat he's been quiet. No, not really quiet. I'm trying to think of the words. He's been pushed down. I want to say he's been pushed down, but you still see him because of his gaining. And that's fine because, you know, having him gaining 3 gold, you're essentially playing a free unit. That's not what we want. So, yeah. Knockout. The cost penalty has been reduced to 2. That's fine. Yeah. Just a change there. I don't mind that. Not really much to talk about with that card either. Just simple change. Alright, Rat King. Rat. He's all the way up in the 4 gold now and summoned 4 rats. People were debating about this a bit, like why. If I could find him. Crap. Sorry. Here he is. Now, people were debating about this. Why nerf him at 1-2? I think there's a good reason for that. When you're bringing out 4 additional rats with him, that intention would be to keep the stats low. Now, of course, there are still buffs out there like the house or temple of the ninja rats. You could always play that. The hovels to keep generating rats. But I think if you're having him summon 4 additional units, his stats should remain like this, and the cost should be 4 gold. That's just my opinions of the Rat King. Alright, Infernal Furnace, cost increase to 3. Okay, not much to say there. I mean, there it is. It's 3 gold now. It kind of destroys its early game, but that's fine. You can still play it, still deal damage if you wanted to. There's not much going on there. Bridge Troll, cost increase to 2. Good move. It stops the where is he? It stopped the I mean, it wasn't really abusing the first turn, but I mean, it still fulfills its purpose. It still lowers the gold, but now you're not getting 0 gold on your first turn if you're red and blue pops out. If blue pops out Bridge Troll and you're the red, you're basically getting no gold on your first turn. Now, of course, you could argue that you have the medallion, so if you could still play whatever you want to if it costs 1 gold. But I think this was a smart move, and especially at the 2 gold stats, you knock the base for 2 the next turn. You wouldn't play anything. It was just a free hit on the castle, and let alone a free turn in general. Spirit Crash, reduced to 5 gold. Okay, I mean, I've been beaten in matches before where this thing had been played on like a 21 health unit for some crazy reason. But I mean, it's fine. Spirit Crash at 5, I can support that. It's no big deal. Yeah, it's all good. Alright, War Party. Not reduced, but yeah, we're gonna road up to the card. As you can see, its cost increase became tremendous. It's now 7 gold, and now your units are subtracting a movement but gaining the rampage. So this really turned into a card that you must strategically use if you want to get the most use out of it. Your decrease in movement are going to affect your 3 moving units to 2 movement, and of course that could be instrumental if you want to get a hit on the castle or just to knock out a strong unit in general. Manfish. It goes similar to the bridge troll, like the combo used to be you'd play bridge troll first turn, you'd probably pop out a manfish the second, and that would be, let's see, 2, 2. That'd almost be 6 damage right off the bat there. 1 for bridge troll, 2 for bridge troll hitting, 2 for manfish hitting, and 2 for manfish detonation. I think reducing its stats are okay. It's easy to get rid of, and the last will of 1 damage makes it a bit smaller in terms of unit potential, but still, I think it's good for clearing out maybe some of the weaker units on the field. Alright, Torres files. And I know you guys probably want to see me play matches. Fear not, matches will be played later on in the stream. Torres files, repurposed to fit drakes entirely. It no longer supports monsters, but supports drakes instead. As you can see, last will, add 2 random drakes to your hand and they cost 2 less. Now that drakes were already a Viking Crusader, there's no faction shift. This is more like a body block in my opinion. This is a free, maybe like a wall tower with an ability. You have it sometimes positioned perfectly to set up where your opponent has to destroy it, and they essentially you're getting 2 drakes. Switching it from monsters really though decreases the potential of monsters as making it back on the rise, and especially with some other cards that were hit, which I'll get to in a minute, of the monsters, but I think monsters may be taking a short break out of the meta for a while, and that's fine. I mean, I kind of really didn't like losing to the fact that all the opponent did was play cards until one of them was super buffed, and then I lost all of my base health. That was a bit much, but now I think where monsters are right now, they're good as a deck, but maybe too weak to make it into the top meta. Alright, continuing on the train of monsters, I can't pronounce the first part of this unit, so you probably already know what it is. Where is said unit? Yeah, here. Nalakir Ajira. Now, originally this unit would generate any monster to your hand, including legendaries such as King Kaiju. Now, I think putting it at the common monsters really shows that you didn't need to draw those high-end monsters into your hand. I mean, now you're dealing with cards such like Ramrus, Minotaur, all of which are considered common. I think this is a good change, but of course weakens the monster potential a bit much. And we still have 2 more changes to cover with monsters, which we'll go back to in a second. But, I'm following the list here that's on the Reddit page of patches that happened. Alright, going over to Ramrus. Where is... Did I pass him? Here he is. Health reduced to 4. Okay. It's fine by me. 2-5 was okay at 2 gold, but 2-4, I think now you're evening it up with the Salahar Rider, which I think is good. Eternal Darkness, this card also got hit. As you can see now, it limits the zombies to a squad of 1 into a 1x5 line. That's essentially like 1 line in the middle of the map. So you're getting 5 zombies instead of 9, which is good because, seeing Eternal Darkness really meant that they were about to corner you and the game was about to end. So, good change on Eternal Darkness there. Alright, we're switching over back to the monsters real quick. I know there's 2, I'm just following the list. But first, we're going to look at Hebra. The Hebra. Now, this card was one of the powerhouses that I was talking about that monster decks would just play solely to power up. When a monster is summoned, the Hebra gains 1/1 now at a 3/4 stat. I think that's fine. You're not having as much as a gain as 2/4, or not 2/4, as 2/2, but still, you know, you're printing them off pretty high for 3 gold. Other than that, I think, along with the next card I'm going to talk about, these powerhouse nerfs are going to take a toll on the monster decks, and we may not see them on the rise for quite a bit of time. Alright, next card I'm moving over to is the Colossus. Now, again, this is a card we're talking about here that was a strong powerhouse in the monster decks. When monster units played, this card would gain 2 attack and 1 movement until essentially you had a 5 movement, like, I don't know, 10 attack unit running around. I think this is a more static change. You're gaining 1 attack and 1 movement for every monster you play. That should be where it is. Not much else to say. Alright, moving on. We're going over to Fenrir now. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, before I even get to the card, it's reducing health. It's fine by me. A 6/9 was a bit strong. 6/8, I think you should probably keep it around that for now. The Rampage is still working out for him pretty well. I think this card should be left as is for now. Pretty good change on that. Raccoon. It's the same stats, but now you're reducing its AoE damage, the 4 damage from being summoned. You reduce it from a 5 to a 4. Pretty painful change, I think. I mean, I remember back in the day winning with approximately 5/4 Raccoon damage, and that was probably the best feeling I had. But disregarding my personal experiences, I think this card maybe was a bit too strong with the 5 AoE. Putting it at 4 still maintains its status as a legendary and at a high costing unit, but you're not destroying the entire game just by playing Raccoon. Sorry, I don't know where I'm going. Robins. Okay, stop moving. Robins. When attack nerf to 3, that's fine by me. I mean, I was guilty of using Robins all the time in my Undead and now my current Greed deck. He's always a go-to for me. Having him at 3 attack, I think, limits his kill potential just a bit. But if you run cards like Special Delivery and Temple of the 5 Gods, there's really no need to complain. It's, you know, he still has the potential. I think it's just harder to get it out there. And finally, our last card of the 3.2 patch is Dagger Store. Now, here's an argument. Disregard the Salahar Voyager in the middle, but you can see the 2 cards, Special Delivery and Dagger Storm. This is now a problem. You have a choice between Dagger Storm and Special Delivery. The only key difference being is that Special Delivery can hit base while Dagger Storm cannot. In my opinion, I still love to use Special Delivery. It's still a fun card to bust out. But some could argue that Dagger Storm is clearly better since you're hitting all the units and you don't have to worry about missing or being off at a certain range. But, yeah, that's the patch. That's patch 3.2. Oh, shoot, I didn't want to do that. But quickly going over to the hotfix, I talked about the King Crab already being changed yet again to a 7/4. And quickly running over to Ice Blast, because that was changed now to a 5 gold card. That's fine. You're putting it in the same category now as Dagger Storm and Special Delivery. Not much else to say. Still has the same ability, still has the same potential as good removal, but you're putting it in the same tier as Special Delivery and Dagger Storm. Alright,